All right, guys, we are back with another episode of The Mix Behind the Mic. Special guest today, Treanna from Divas with the Details. Thank you so much for coming on. Treanna has a wedding event planning business, 5 years now in the Philly and tri-state area market. Treanna, thanks for coming on.
Thank
Tell
you
us a
so
little
much.
bit about yourself, and we're happy to have you.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
So we are a wedding and event planning business based in the tri-state area and beyond. So please fly me out to any sunny destination. I'm
Touche.
waiting for one. Um, but we are here to just make brides' days so much easier. So, our tagline is the only best friends you ever have to pay for, and we stand behind that. We try to keep it light and airy, like you're just talking with your best friend, because at the end of the day, you know that your best friend will have your back no matter what. Like they want the best for you, and that's
Yeah.
what we want for our couples.
I love it. Special shout out, we do business together. Divas has a ad in our wedding book, so thank you for that. But, the whole purpose of this pod is to simply help couples prep for their wedding day. So you obviously would be a perfect guest to have on, so we're appreciative of you being here. But I honestly don't know this next question, as we've been working together for a couple years, but how did you get into it?
So I went to school for event planning. I was like one of the 1% of people that when I went into college, I knew what I wanted to do. And no one knew what the heck it was. They're like, "Do you want to be a party planner?" And I was like, "No, I want to plan events. Like that's what I want to do." So I went to Temple Ford. I graduated with my major and my concentration in event leadership. And then during college, I worked at the Union League of Philadelphia as a hostess and like bapped around in all their different departments. Like I interned in their activities department. I worked in their banquet department. I worked in their restaurants. I worked in accounting for a summer. Like I was everywhere. And when I graduated, my old boss was like, "Hey, listen, we need a hostess." And I said, "I won't be a hostess, but if you want to bring me back as a manager, I'm happy to do it." Came back as a supervisor, got promoted to assistant manager, and worked all their events, like their holidays, their big dinners. So I did from like 60-person beer dinners to 950-person Easter events. So got a lot of hands-on experience with doing events there, like post college. I had experience from college, but that was really where things got off the ground. Left the field, got married, had my son, but like a month before I got pregnant, I started Divas. I got married in 2019. So when I left my job, I got married. All that was great. And then COVID hit in 20. So when COVID hit, a lot of people started popping up with like their own event business and like doing
Yep.
all these little side jobs. And I'm like, you know what? All these people, like, no disrespect, but like,
Yeah.
what are you qualified to do an event business for? I'm like, you took a online course for 3 hours and now all of a sudden you're an event planner. I'm like, this is shouldn't be. This is what I know how to do. I love to do it. And I felt like something was missing. So I always tell the story backwards. I say that it happened the morning after. My husband says it happened when we were going to bed. But I was like going to bed and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start an event business the next day. And he was like, all right, good luck with that. And rolled over and
And it
went
was
to
that
bed.
casual.
It was that casual. And it rolled over and went to bed. And he's right because I do remember tossing and turning all night on trying to figure out names. That I woke up the next day and I was like, diamonds and the different packages. He's like, you're trying too much. He's like, come on, Diva, get with it. And like, what I was like,
It just hit.
and it hit. And he went to go get his coffee and came back and I was like, D's with the details. Um, and it kind of rolled from there. We just didn't know it was going to take off. I started as a partnership. Unfortunately, my partner had to step down for she, got a job once she was laid off during COVID and then got a job and personal reasons. So
Different life.
it
Sure.
kind of fell into my lap being just a sole owner. And then was pregnant a month after we started Divas. So love to do things all at once. Came back from corporate, ended up taking my maternity leave and was like, I literally hate this. Divas is where I want to be. My plan was to go into another job that was a fever dream. And then I was like, I'll take the summer with my son and then I'll start looking for jobs in the fall. And I was busy every weekend in the fall. I said, all right, well, my dad and my husband always said, if you want to do it, you got to jump in with 2 feet. So it kind of just naturally fell that I took it full time and I haven't looked back since.
Love it.
So happy to not be in corporate America anymore. But, we've grown from a two-man team to there's 15 or 16 of us on the team. We got 9 girls on the desk in admin. A lot of girls out in the field. We're constantly growing, looking to grow in new avenues. So, Diva literally started as a conversation one day is I'm tired of sitting here and watching everyone else live out my dream. So I'm going to do it. And then here we are.
I love the story, to be honest. Obviously as a self-employed person, it was the same thing. Went to college. I didn't graduate. I only went for 2 years, but like took business courses, knew I wanted to own my own business, had no idea what I wanted to do. And ironically, my dad was a DJ in the 80s, and I grew up with zero intentions of ever wanting
Did
to
he
be
have a
a
mullet?
DJ. No. Um, He looks like me now too, so thanks, Dad. But it was one of them things where out of college, I got a job working for a DJ company that was in weddings, and I think I might have been there like 6 months and bought my own set of equipment, started doing some bars and snowballed, and here we are. And like never thought I was in this field ever
Yeah.
until it kind of just happened, and I just woke up one day and here we are. So it's kind of crazy.
I always feel like they make the best kind of stories though, is that you just kind of and naturally happen that way. And I just always feel like things happen for a reason, which is so cheesy, but
All right, so let's take it a step further. And I was not planning on bringing this story up, but let's go there. So I come in from college, I get a job, and I'm working at a TGI Fridays, and I get fired for not carding a 31-year-old woman who obviously was overage. It was a secret shopper. And within the next week, I bought some equipment, was doing that thing on the side, and was just like, this is going to be it. And realistically, like, I'd like to think I still did something like this, but it started with me getting fired as a server on the side job. And here we are. It's just kind of wild. So I really do believe everything happens for a reason.
fun fact, I was a mystery shopper in college.
Were you the one that got me fired?
I
I'm
was
just
not.
kidding.
I was not. I was probably when you were carding lady in TGI Fridays. I was there with my parents eating all the breadsticks.
I can't tell if you're calling me old or not, but we'll keep going. I'm just kidding. So as far as divas go, what would you're not just weddings essentially. So I mean, obviously you can plug away at that real quick, but you guys do all types of planning in general?
Yep. So, ironically, when I first started Divas, my plan was to do like social events first. So, birthdays, graduations, baptisms, things like that, because that's always what I thought that I wanted to do. And then weddings for me was a 5-year plan. I was like, I plan my own wedding and that's great, but like I wanted to do a little bit more research and get more background on weddings. They're a different beast. And the
Yeah.
roles were opposite. I went right into weddings and I started dabbling a little bit into events. And then it came that my main form of business is weddings. Um, so for events, as far as they go, we do them all. We do birthday parties, engagements. What else is there?
We just did a sweet 16 together.
We just did a sweet 16 together. We had an engagement party. We had a bridal shower. We have a bat mitzvah next year. We have another bridal shower next year. We have a first birthday coming up. We've done baby showers. So all different types of events that we love to do them. Dinner parties. I love events. Weddings are always where my heart lies, but there's something with events, they're just fun. Like you just get to have a theme, you get to run with it. Um, we're dropping a little Easter egg here, get to do some design things. Um, but all those things are just so fun and just you get to be a little bit different with it.
Sure.
And like there's always like the themes that are out there. Like there's the espresso theme. There's the Italian theme that's coming out that's like a really big theme right now. And obviously Italians do it best, so why wouldn't everyone want that theme?
Sure.
Um, but it's nice and it's fun to be able to someone wants to do that theme and that's great, but now I get to do it. I get to do it differently. I don't get to do the same thing that everyone else does that like I don't want to feel like it's cookie cutter.
Let me stop you for 1 second because this is, I think you just made me think of something separate. If so, the old head over here, that's now January's 20 years I'm doing this, but if this was you 10 years ago, I'm almost curious if you get into the business because maybe 10, 15 years ago, but 10, 15 years ago, every wedding was the same. There was no originality.
Yeah.
And now everything is different and everyone is doing things their own way. So I always tell people like, especially like newer guys for us that are getting on the team, I'm like, you have no idea how good you got it because your job today is so much cooler than it was 10 years
Yeah.
ago. And the original part is pretty much why, because people are doing it that way.
Everyone wants to do it differently. I mean, I got married 6.5 years ago, give or take. And I look at weddings now and I'm like, I feel like things were so different. I feel like I got married 20 years ago.
BC, you got married before COVID.
I did. I was married
So
BC.
it's like it's a
It's a whole
different
different
world.
world.
It literally is.
But now brides are looking to like, how can I do things differently? Like, and everyone is almost trying too hard to make it different. That it's just like you're skewing away from what the actual day consists of, which is the fact that two people fell in love and want to celebrate with their family. And people are trying so hard to make it so different that you are really losing sight of that, which is a little upsetting.
I can't agree more. And to take it a step further, and we just spoke about this on another pod recently, that how much is too much. And, I wasn't going to go here, but I saw something real quick that I'll bring up that was a trend that's like it's a bingo sheet and it's guess the guest. and it has things, and it has nothing to do with the wedding. It's something so simple and quirky, and like I really don't care if people do it or not, because the DJ will never even know that this is going on. It's just something placed at their table, and that's something simple, and that doesn't take away from anything. But everyone's trying to add stuff and do extras, and all they're doing is taking 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes away from the open dance floor. And next thing you know, we did a wedding 2 weeks ago. It wasn't me, but my team was telling me in a group chat that they had so many extra things during dinner and post dinner that, most weddings have a 2 hour open dance floor, if you will.
Mm.
And before, they were doing the I'm so over the shoe game, if you will, and all these
At
extra
the wedding?
things. Yeah. And all these extra things that they did during dinner and right after dinner, that they opened the dance floor at 10:05 and the wedding was over at 11 o'clock. And it's just like, you don't have to do all these extra things.
No.
Just because there's 2,000 different trends on TikTok and Pinterest right now doesn't
Doesn't
mean you
mean
need
to
to
do
do
them
them
all.
all. Exactly.
No, first off, the shoe game to me is a shower game. And I feel, don't bite my head off,
Sure.
brides that are watching
Yeah.
this, but I feel that keep the games to your shower, keep the games to your engagement party, keep the games to your serenade if you're from South
Facts.
Philly and you do that. Your wedding, it's a giant party. Like, it's obviously the ceremony is the most important part because that's why everyone's there.
Yeah.
But then once that's over and like you kind of like get to let your hair down, like let's groove, let's party. Like, people that have 7, 8 speeches, it's just like no one wants to sit through it. Think of it as a
Facts.
guest.
Facts.
Like you're sitting there and I'm attending a wedding that I was invited to because my husband was best friends with the guy. So I know the couple, but like, they're not my best friends. And even if they were, I don't want to sit there and listen to 7 speeches about you. I know you. I love you. That's great. But like, let's party.
Right.
You spend
Yeah.
all this money on entertainment, everything else. Keep it simple and sweet. Do the speeches at your rehearsal dinner. Like, let that be, it's more of a low key kind of time. It's more intimate. Let those speeches be able to be with the people that know you the best because not all of your guests know you, but you got your parents' friends there, you got friends from work that know you, you got you got guest of a guest type of deal. Give it a speech or two. Let's cut the BS basically.
Yeah.
Like, let's just get down to the party. And then you wonder why, well, my main thing is I want to get on the dance floor. But you can't get on the dance floor if you have 8 speeches and you want to do 3 TikTok trends and you want to go out for sunset photos and then you want to come back and you want to do an announced cake cutting and we're doing the bouquet and we're doing the garter and it's like and then well, when are you dancing?
Yeah. And this is why I try to tell people, like, and you just said, like, don't cut my head off for saying this. And like, I never want anyone to perceive anything I say negative on
Oh,
me.
not you. I meant,
No, no,
sorry,
no,
I
no.
meant the audience.
No, me too. I'm saying the same thing. But I'm going to agree with you when I say, like, I don't want to come off as the bad guy when I say I hate them all. I
Yeah.
literally hate most of them, because in the original consult, I go over everything we can offer, and I always flip it and I say, paint the picture. What's the vibe? And when their vibe is, we want to dance, we want super high energy, we want to party, and then 18 months later, when we have the final call, and there's the dash with the photographer and the garter and bouquet, which we very rarely do anymore, but like all these extras and anniversary dance and different things that, again, it's your wedding, we'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But in that original consult, your priority was dancing and high energy and not being the center of attention and getting things out of the way up front. And then, and I stress this, and this phrase is said on every single podcast we've done, expectations versus reality is everything. And it's just one of them things where I never want to have anyone perceive that I'm like the Grinch up here that doesn't want to do any of these things that they want to do for their wedding. But I want to focus on what they originally came to me and why they originally booked us was because they wanted to dance, party, high energy. And I want to make sure that they get that on their wedding day. And people don't realize that it's over like that.
Yep.
And it's one of them things where I think it's so important that all these little 5 minutes add up. Perfect example. I love that nobody does Steve Smith and Jane McCormick come out anymore, and it's not 8 sets of couples coming out. And the simplicity of just bring out the guys and just bring out the girls saves 6 minutes.
Time.
And it's them 6 minutes, and limiting your people to 5 minutes for their speeches saves another 10 minutes, and all that stuff adds up to you having more time on the dance floor.
Agreed. And the problem with speeches sometimes is it's somebody's 15 minutes of fame. And it's
Yeah.
like, really, you have 2.5 minutes. And I tell my couples when we go through it, tell them to keep your speeches to 2 minutes or under, or 2.5 minutes max.
You know, it's funny. I said 5 and I'm like, that's an eternity when I said it
Well,
out
I
loud.
I always account 5 minutes in my timeline
Sure.
because you got to give time for them to get up there, make their speech, give the hug and kiss to the bride and groom, go sit, introduce the next couple. So I give 5 in a timeline, but make your speech 2 and 2.5 minutes. But people get the mic. We had one wedding we did. The speeches went on for 45 minutes, and that was just two people talking. And I was like, we're still not done. Like, what is happening?
A friend of mine that's a videographer posted something this weekend, and it was like the caption said 18 minutes on the first speech alone, and we're not done. And I'm just like, and again, coming back to the DJ side, like we like want to start playing like the dun, 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 like the music in the background, like, and like people start like looking at us like, what do you want us to do in
I
this
can't do
point? Like,
anything.
right, there's nothing we can do. And it's almost like the couple again, and this is why we do the pod of like preparing them
Yeah.
or telling their guests, this podcast is essentially for the bride and groom, but I also want them to be sharing this with their moms and their aunts and their cousins or their bridal party
Yeah.
to learn some facts that they should know about their wedding beforehand. And that's the goal of this whole
And I
podcast.
know people want to hear, like, oh, I have some people I want them to speak and they want to speak, and that's great. But split them up. Like I said, do the rehearsal dinner, do the welcome dinner, like have some of the speeches then. And if you have so much to say, write them a letter, honestly. Like, because I remember when I got married, like some of our speeches, you start trailing off after a certain point. And it's just like, okay, now you lost my attention and I'm the one that you're talking to.
Right, right. Like
And I
it's
have
for
this
me.
problem where I can't control my face. And I'm just like, okay, I've had enough. Like, and you can't do that, obviously. Like, you have to look engaged, but
With
it's just
all
like,
eyes on you.
yeah. So it's like, all right, let's keep it moving.
So this is off topic, but let me ask you this, especially in the planner aspect. What are your thoughts? And you just said the word rehearsal dinner. And in 2025, is it necessary to have a rehearsal dinner? And before you answer this, and again, don't kill the messenger. I'm curious. As an event group, that we also a lot of times are the officiant because most of our MCs are ordained ministers, and if it's at the venue, half the time we're that, and they're always talking to us about coming to the rehearsal dinner as the officiant, which in 1997 everyone went to the rehearsal dinner and it was a completely different world than it is today.
Yeah.
But from my point of view or my understanding, we have nothing to do with the rehearsal dinner outside of they occasionally ask for that.
Yeah.
But in 2025, things are less formal. It's not so, and again, I could be wrong, so I want your thoughts and opinions, but like sometimes I question people on still having it, depending on how big the bridal party is. Do they know the officiant personally? Is it going to be a 10-minute thing and not a full blown ceremony? And I'm just kind of curious on your thoughts
Now,
of
are you referring to the dinner itself or the actual rehearsal?
kind of both.
So I always feel like a rehearsal is necessary. And people are like, I've been in weddings, I know what it's
This
like.
is why I wanted your thoughts and feedback. Yeah.
So people are always saying, like, my bridal party's been in like 27 weddings. We don't need a rehearsal. You do. Because even if it's 15 minutes, every aisle is different, every venue is different, every situation is different, and like the spacing is always different. So spacing is the biggest thing. So, you want to know who you're walking with, you want to know how you're walking. Is it a straight aisle? Is it a really long aisle? Is it like an L-shaped aisle? Where are you coming out of? Do you have to make, is there like how Penryn has in the mansion, they have the fountain in the middle, or
Yep.
RIP
I
the
know what you're talking
fountain.
about.
You have to walk
Say
around it.
RP.
Yeah.
It's
So
gone.
I think it's like a potted plant now.
Huh.
Pretty
Okay.
sure. I was just there like 2 days ago. Should know
Makes
this.
sense. But go ahead.
Am I going around something? Where do I start as a bride? Like, when do I stop to get fluffed? What is there steps? Like, so everything is a little bit different. So it's good to have that because I personally am the type of person that I don't like to go into something and not knowing what I'm
Blind.
walking.
That's
Yes.
fair. That's fair.
So I always support a rehearsal. As far as the officiant goes, I don't really feel like you need to be there. I feel like it doesn't make sense. But on the same foot, when it comes to rehearsal, sometimes officiants like to be there. If it's a family friend, they like to kind of know where am I
Which
standing.
is fair. And the family friend also might not do this, and they might have paid $50 on Life Church of America and got ordained or whatever. Maybe it's more of the dinner and the officiant is where I'm going with the actual rehearsal, because you also just said 15 minutes. And again, I'm in all these bride groups on Facebook and they're all talking about these rehearsals and where are they having it. And they're like renting rooms for 50 people to have this. And I'm like, It's 15 minutes. It's with the parents and the bridal party.
Yep.
And like, I don't think there needs to be a dinner, and I don't think the officiant in most cases
Needs to be
needs to
there.
be there. And that's just, and I don't want to sound greedy, if you will, when someone comes to us, they have these ideas that they want, and they want to get these extras and add-ons, and they're like, well, it doesn't fit in the budget, which it's okay.
Yeah.
But I hate knowing that it doesn't fit in the budget because they spent all this money on
On dinner.
on a dinner. Exactly, which I think is so relevant, which I'm never going to tell them that essentially in the case, but
Except right now.
except right now. Exactly. So I feel like saying it here, I can, but on there, one-on-one, I don't want to tell someone not to do something.
Well, in the case of you, like your situation, you are a hired professional. Your team does it all the time. So unless it's a matter of meeting the person and you haven't been to the space and you want to be there, I don't think you as a professional need to be there. You have your script, you know what you're doing, you can
Right.
get there on wedding day, you can knock it out, you're fine.
Right.
Like we work with other companies that are hired officiant companies. Like we work with Journeys with the Heart a lot. They know what they're doing. They're
Right.
fine. They get there maybe an hour earlier. They've already met with the couple. They meet with the planner or the parents, the witnesses. They sign the marriage license. They're good to go. They see the space. There's no need for them to come. The family friend, yeah, they want to come. They want to see the space. They're nervous too
Right.
because
And that I
where do I
understand
speak? What
100%.
do I do? When do I step aside? They don't know what they're doing. So the rehearsal makes sense for them too.
Sure.
So whether it's day of or day prior, whatever it is, it's good for them to kind of know placement as well. The dinner part, I for me, if you got me out of the house, and at this point, I got 2 kids, so I'm enjoying the dinner. My hair is down. I'm having wine. Don't talk to me. But it is a little bit more old school in that sense of having the rehearsal dinner. But I do think that some of it becomes overkill because then you're doing a rehearsal dinner, then you're doing a welcome party, then you're doing all these things, and it's like, where do you draw the line?
And this is again the problem of 2025 and the
Everything
internet.
has to be bigger and bigger and
Right.
bigger, and you have to outdo the next person that you never met. So I think it kind of every wedding, it just comes down to what your wedding is like. So I've seen people that have a lot of out of town guests. So you're getting married, you have 200 people, and probably a third of your guests, if not more, are from outside the state. They're traveling in, they're staying overnight. Then it's kind of nice to do a welcome party because it's not your first time seeing them on wedding day. You got to see them the night before, you got to catch up, you got to give them hugs and kisses and say, "Oh my God, it's so good to see you." Get those, what's the word?
Hellos and thank yous out of the way.
That word works too. Like get them out of the way. It feels like you got your greetings done. So on wedding day, it's just like thanks so much for coming and let's go party.
I can't agree more.
But if it's everybody that you've seen, like if it's a 60 person, like you're doing a micro wedding almost, why are we having a rehearsal dinner?
Right.
Your wedding is more of a rehearsal dinner.
That's also my next question. It was kind of piggybacking off of, is it 100 plus? Is it 12 in the bridal party plus? Because if it's a 50-person wedding, is there really need for a rehearsal dinner kind of thing?
Not really, in my sense. In my case, again, a lot of our micro weddings don't even have rehearsals. We'll talk through them the day of because our micro weddings, it's really the bride and groom, the officiant, and maybe they have a maid of honor and a best man.
I,
So no one's really processing
I
except the bride.
feel like our photographers would hate me saying this, but like in my thought process, it's not something that you want to add the day of either. Like you're not going to do a fake rehearsal an hour before the wedding kind of thing either, because we're trying to get pictures and everything else done and whatnot
So
beforehand.
what I do, and planners that are listening, don't steal my thunder here, is I do the rehearsal the same time that the couple's doing their portraits.
Okay,
So when we get to the venue, like Chess Cafe is and Finley are like the two big top guys that do
sure.
the rehearsals on wedding day. So I tell my couples, listen, we're gonna get to the venue, get situated, go take your portraits around the space with your photographer. We'll run your rehearsal with everyone else. When we're done, we'll fill you in on what you need to know. The bride has got one place to be, the groom's got one place. It's for everybody else at this point.
Right,
Like you're in your wedding dress. I don't want to take away from that moment that you're walking down the aisle and your future husband or future wife or whoever's standing there and watching you have that moment.
right.
So let that moment be the moment within itself. On a rehearsal day, like you're in a white dress more times than not, but like you're not in your gown. You're not you're not in bride mode. You're just like in pre-bride mode. So you don't want to take away from that. But there's things that you can do this way. You're getting those pictures done. If not, you'll be doing them during cocktail hour or later, and you're pushing it and you're feeling that crunch of a timeline. Like we buffer it in. If I don't know, I can't buffer it in. But
Right.
if I know, we plan it and it makes it you feel smooth. You feel like nothing's happening there.
I just stress, and I've said this multiple times too, that hellos and thank yous out of the way and not having to do them during cocktail hours so massive. So the welcome party aspect for the out of towners proves even more of take the extra 10 minutes during the welcome party so
Yeah.
you don't have to the day of the wedding kind of thing.
To me, that's the point in the welcome party, is to welcome everybody to your wedding weekend, because that's what it is. You have your rehearsal day, like the way traditionally was done was the rehearsal was the night before. So you have your rehearsal day, you have your wedding day, and then sometimes you have like a farewell brunch. So that's the start of your weekend. It kicks it off. You're saying hello, my God, thanks for coming in. I'm so excited for tomorrow. How have you been? Blah blah blah. And your wedding day, it's just like, great to see you. I'll see you on the dance floor. All right, great. Let's go get a drink. Let's get food. Let's enjoy the day. So that's the nice part about it. If you're having a rehearsal dinner and you're not doing a welcome party and you're just, the dinner to follow more feels more fitting sometimes when you're doing a church. Maybe that's just my personal opinion, because it's a longer rehearsal. Generally, it's more an hour. The priest is there. It feels more substantial. Whereas when you're doing a non-denominational at the venue, it generally takes maybe about a half hour,
Max.
max. But I'm all for a good dinner, but I feel like with the rehearsal dinner, if that's the case, then it's literally just, parents, grandparents, bridal party, their significant others, like anyone that needs to be at the rehearsal. I mean, obviously, if you have three of your aunts in the wedding and you have four aunts on that side, like that fourth aunt will come to the dinner.
Makes sense.
But it's not, the rehearsal dinner isn't for you to just go invite like all of your neighbors and friends. At that point, it's a welcome party. Like,
the more you're talking, the more I'm thinking of it's taking away people from the dance floor. Like we're getting extra stations to get people to do things after dinner to remove them from the dance floor. So like, I don't love them all, essentially.
There's some that I feel like are fitting for a wedding. There's some I feel like are fitting for other events. There's
Sure.
some I feel like you can do them for both. Like, I like the idea, obviously anything with food for me, it's always a win. So I love the idea of the cannoli guy, because you're on the dance floor already. He's coming around to you. Bring all the food to me.
You don't scream South Philly here, but God.
So that's really great. We had another wedding where they had a oyster shucker. Keep all the seafood, but it's pretty cool to someone comes up to you, they shuck them. It's like it's like,
and I don't even do them, and I think it's cool.
It's cool. It's just, it's engaging,
Yeah.
which I feel is worth its weight because it's a conversation starter. So you go home and you're talking about this wedding, and like, people leave the wedding, and the two things I say people always talk about was
food and DJ.
Food and DJ.
Yeah.
Did I leave hungry, and did I dance all night? But now I'm talking, aside from those two things, like I'm talking about, oh my God, there was this really cool oyster shucker there. I went around, and it just makes things stand out. There are other things that I think are cool. They are things that grab you away from the dance floor. Like there are like the mobile cigar lounge. They're really cool. And I think if you're, depending on your wedding, if you're outside, it's that kind of night, like it's cool to have them. However, you're pulling them from the dance floor.
We did a whole segment on the last pod about how I hate cigar bars, and I hope they are so over soon. I hate them. The guys stand outside for 45 minutes, and half the time I have to be like, excuse me, groom, you've been outside for an hour and your wedding's over in 20 minutes. Like, please come back inside.
So they're great, and they're really cool for what they are. But for weddings,
expectations versus reality.
The problem with them is that you're pulling people outside. But if you're having a very low-key wedding, like your vibe isn't to have the dance floor packed.
Right, which is
your
totally
vibe is to
cool.
be more loungy, maybe it's more of like a backyard kind of vibe, and you just want it to be like not sitting around the campfire. That sounds very not.
But it's the same thing with like what's the game with the bags? Cornhole. The perfect example. Like, if you have a low-key wedding where you have some stuff like this going on, and that's all good.
And it fits.
But don't tell me you want a banger and want everyone dancing and you have half of your guests outside playing cornhole or smoking a cigar.
So there's a happy medium between the two.
I also love the fudgy wudgy guy. It's the same as the cannoli aspect, but like
they're great. Late night snacks, like you go and you get the cheesesteak truck. I'm going to give my plug to my Delco Steaks here that we partner with. Like, there's nothing I love more at the end of the night.
Especially again, we're talking about the guests, but like I love this as the vendor too. Like,
my God,
I want a cheesesteak at the end of the night.
I worked a wedding where they were at, and they're fantastic. And I was leaving, and I sat in my car and ate this cheesesteak. It was the greatest thing in the world. I was so
hungry. Like in another world for 5 minutes in your own.
Sat there in silence with my cheesesteak. I scarfed it down, and no one talked to me, and it was great. And then I went on my merry little way home, and did not bring a single thing home for my husband, and I didn't care about it.
Amen. I feel that.
So I feel like, to me, it's, you want to create, everything is about creating an experience, because memories are experiences. They're things that you remember. They're conversational pieces amongst friends. But at the end of the day, it's, what are you looking to accomplish? Are you looking to have a rager where I'm on the dance floor the whole time? Then bringing the food to you is great, because I'm not leaving the dance floor to go watch you cut your cake, or to go watch, like when I got married, I did the flambe at Chess Cafe. My pictures, I look like this. I'm like, I don't care. Right. I'm on the dance floor. You pull me away to watch fire. I can go play with matches. But some people want that.
Yeah.
So it's, your expectations and then execution of it. So if you want everyone on the dance floor, don't get the mobile cigar guy. But if you want it to be, you want people to roast marshmallows and you want to have the lounge sets and people sit and smoke a cigar and you have low key music playing,
Yeah.
that's absolutely fine if that's your vibe. Then the cigar makes sense for you.
I like when the couples know what they want.
Yes.
Like, don't, like, again, like outdoors, 50 people, cornhole and cigars. Cool. We're not throwing that crazy high energy MC and DJ on that wedding kind of thing. And they know that going in. Do you have a unique story as I go back into my I'm on mode?
Normal mode. In regards to,
Anything that's fun that you haven't seen that might be something that's not all over TikTok yet, essentially.
I am not on TikTok. That's the problem.
Okay. To be
Um,
honest with you, I'm very, very minimal. When I go on TikTok like once a week when I come do
I
these.
think TikTok is the reels on Instagram and Facebook. So that's how sad it is. So when I was on TikTok, I just would watch videos of cats and laugh in a non-creepy way. I
Okay.
don't know why I went down that rabbit hole of
Are you a
cats. I was
cat
like,
lady?
okay, great. I have one cat and she
Okay.
gets on my nerves. So I was like, okay, but I laugh at cats doing really dumb things. So
The more you know.
yeah.
Um, we talked about some 26 trends. We talked about things that people are doing. Is there anything out there that you, and it's okay that no one's going to judge you, but what don't you like? Or like, what is popular today that you're hoping is a fad that's ending in 2025 or 2026? And I love asking people that question.
Ugh. Um,
I know. And the crazy part is that most things that I hated at weddings are slowly dying.
dying off
Like
anyway.
I always use the example of like a garden bouquet that I can't say. I'm doing one this Saturday. And again, I'm always hoping that like they change their mind or they decide not to do it or little things like that. But I think every year that I progress in my career of doing this, weddings are getting better and better because people are doing things their way
Yeah.
and they're getting rid of the cheesy traditional things that have been done at every single wedding
Yeah.
and they're only becoming more fun. The bad side of it is that everybody has to try something new
New to
and
be the other person.
exactly
I
so.
mean, the things that you know, I don't like announced cake cuttings. I feel like they're weird. And that's just my personal
And
opinion.
that's something that's predominantly changed from, I mean, I would say 2 out of 10 we're doing now.
Yeah, most people do an individual cake for themselves, and that's fine. I my personal opinion, and it will not go anywhere. If anything, it's growing more. But I feel like the one tradition in weddings that I love that is kind of went by the wayside a little bit, solely for the fact people want to party, is that moment when you walk down the aisle. So me personally, I'm a firm believer in that moment that your significant other first sees you is when you walk down the aisle. Like I just love that moment.
Stop. Are we saying we're against a first look? Oh my God, because this is such a hot topic.
I know.
I am we could talk about this for 2 hours because
Listen,
I'm the opposite.
I get the point in first look. And from a planner perspective, I like the first look because you get your pictures done, you get to enjoy your cocktail hour, you get to do all the things. From just a personal bride perspective, all of the traditions of wedding day can go out the window. The one thing that has stayed the same all these years is that moment when you walk down the aisle and that first look. And I if
But let me stop you for 1 second. Without knowing the answer to this and knowing that you're from South Philly, right? Okay, so there's no shot that you didn't get married in a church.
I did.
Okay. I also think that's the difference
Yeah.
because getting married in the church, I believe in not doing a first look,
Yeah.
if you will. But there's also normally, this is one thing I do hate about the church is that a lot of times there's also a 3 hour gap to the
Yep.
reception. So you can do all of your stuff. So for me, I am 1000% pushing the couples to do a first look if it's at the venue.
Yeah.
If it's at a church, it's completely different. It's a complete different conversation. But it goes back to something you said earlier. I think there's something massive about getting them hellos and thank yous at cocktail hour. So when it goes intros, first dance, parent dance, speeches, everything
done.
is done and they don't have
Yes.
to go table to table to say hi.
So you can go table to table during salads and get that kind of done if you have a little bit of lull there. For me, so I got married in a church and we did the 2 o'clock ceremony type deal. We had time until cocktail hour started at 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever it was then.
Sure.
So we were able to do our first look down the aisle, do our pictures, and do it more of the quote unquote traditional way.
Sure.
If you got married at a venue, it is harder that way because your entire cocktail hour is taken up by doing your
Pictures.
pictures.
Right.
So if that's the case, I feel like you should do the extra half hour. I just had a conversation with a couple on the phone about this. Some venues offer a half hour extension to your cocktail hour, and I feel like it's worth it to do that because that half hour that you know,
Which Chess Cafe is one of them, and that's where
one
I
is
got
one of them.
married.
And if you did your venue that your ceremony there, you have an hour and a half to do pictures and enjoy cocktail hour. So if you have a planner, here's my personal plug. Um, we'll get your pictures done in 45 minutes. We will get all of your pictures done prior of you and your bridal party individually, collectively,
Right.
each side of your family with just you and your parents or whoever it is. And then after a ceremony, it's we knock out anything that needs to be with the two of you guys,
Right.
and then it's just your portraits, and we can do them and be done, and you guys can go enjoy cocktail hour. Like, we know what we need to do, your guests know where they need to be, we just make it happen. I understand why people do first look. It's not that I don't understand it. And there's some things that I like about it. Like, it's nice to be able to share that moment together without everyone watching you. If you're doing private vows, it's nice too. I laughed at myself thinking about it. If I asked my husband, I said, if we ever got married, like if we did this again, would you do a first look? He goes, no. And I said, well, would you do private vows? He goes, no. He's like, this is awkward for me. He was like, it was hard enough writing you a letter. So some people, it's not fitting.
Sure.
For us, it would be, he laughed at me when I came down the aisle. I cried. So first look wouldn't fit for me.
Yeah.
But some people, it's more fitting. They want that more private moment. They want to take away that stress that when they walk down the aisle, it's just me and you.
Yeah.
I just, that's the one tradition that I feel like I can't let go of. The garter can go, the bouquet toss can go, the cake cutting, the smashing in the face, which I can't stand. Thankfully, I don't see it anymore because Lenny did it and he was in trouble after. Um, all of those things can just go away. It's just that one moment, and maybe it's because I watched 27 Dresses, and that was like her favorite moment is looking at the groom is my thing.
So I'll be honest. I'm engaged, and I always quote and say that I always thought that I hate the older traditions, but I always said that I'm going to wait to see her walk down the aisle. However, 12 years of Catholic school, and there's still, for me, I could talk about this whole thing about church versus the venue and whatnot, and it's I called you on the South Philly thing because if you get married in South Philly, you get married in church, and that's just how it is. And
Yeah.
I'm from the Northeast, and it's still super Roman Catholic, and 12 years Catholic school. But for whatever reason, watching everything I do in this business, if I got married in a church, I would 100% wait. But I already think that I would get married at a venue, and if that was the case, I am now already over the idea of waiting and doing the first look because of pretty much everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
And I definitely think it's a to each their own moment kind of thing. For my fiance, I also think she has a lot of anxiety. And if we were doing any kind of vows or that first look, I also think that's massive for her to get them jitters out of the way pre-ceremony
Yeah.
and have it all eyes. When I talk photography, I always say that I love the engagement session, and it's so important because we get to meet the photographer before the wedding day.
Yes.
And knowing, I always say that 6 out of 10 brides either hate their picture taken or have some sort of anxiety, and half of them raise their hand, and realistically like 9 out of 10 of them, but I say 5 out of 10. And like, we want to know that about you before you walk down the aisle.
Yeah.
And that stuff's so important. So knowing them little things, I think is so, but again, every couple is different. And this is the beautiful thing of 2025 is there's no wrong answer. And realistically, I was going to say nobody should judge you, even though everyone judges everything in 2025. But like, I hate when someone comes to me and they're like, I have this idea, but like, I don't know, girl, it's your day. Do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Like, no one is judging realistically you, and you should be able to do it your way without anyone
Yeah.
having an opinion about it.
Agreed. You got to do what's best for you. And
Yeah.
every couple is different. So, what I may think and what you may think may be two different things. And that's okay. It's
Right.
not my day, it's yours.
Absolutely.
So I'm here to just make sure that your day is happy. And if you are like, I want to do a first look, then we'll plan around it. If you are like, I don't want a first look, fine.
Right.
We'll plan accordingly. You know what I mean? As long as I know we do what we want.
You tell me, what do you have in you to talk about when I say a unique story? I always just like again, I'm also like trying to get ratings. Like, what's fun or crazy that you've seen in your experience that's worth talking about? Anything that you wish brides knew more, or anything that you can avoid when booking vendors. I feel like the vendors, if there's anything that stands out to you, like I see people post some things like, and again, Philly Brides is everything to me. I
Yeah.
stalk that page, and like people are always like, oh, well, make sure your person has X, Y, and Z. And like I commented the other day because there was something about the Better Business Bureau and like make sure you check that they're on there. Well, my LLC is in the Mix Entertainment because that's what I started 20 years ago. But now we're in the Mix Event Group. So if they looked up in the Mix Event Group, I'm not
Not
on
on
there.
there.
So now we're not a reputable company. So like there's some things that like obviously like I don't think anybody should book a vendor without looking at their Google reviews. So like
Agreed.
that's massive. And like it's sad that I see stories every day that are like crazy about this horror story, and then I immediately go to look at what their reviews say, and they have
It's written
right,
black and white.
right.
Yeah.
They have two reviews, and one's their mom. If you actually did some homework, like it's their sister, and like so, like I don't know, but like I feel like as a wedding planner who helps these brides book all these vendors, if you will, is there anything that sticks out to give the listeners anything to avoid other than the obvious of make sure they have Google reviews and some reputable, feedback from real experience for brides?
I mean, it's really the biggest thing comes down to that. It's like with anything else in your life. If you get a weird feeling in your tummy, like go with your gut. Behind my name now that when I first started and I had 5 clients, I could charge you $500 to do what we charge now for 3,500, and I had no experience.
Sure.
So you get what you pay for. Not that I didn't give you like a
No,
great
no.
service, but
You
I
were the
was
new
starting
kid on the
off.
block.
I
Yeah.
was a new kid on the block. I have a team. There's other things. I have other services. Like there's a difference there. Um, I have great reviews behind me. I have years in the industry. I have experience. I we're not just day of coordinators. I am your planner. You have unlimited communication. I'm not charging you by the hour.
All right.
I'm charging you by what you booked for. So I've had brides that, we were supposed to end at 8 o'clock and dinner was so far behind. I left at 10. I'm not going to charge you 2 extra hours. Like
Right.
I'm here so the job is done.
Right.
So you have to look at those different things with vendors and see like, what am I looking for? And at the end of the day, you want to find that connection. So not everybody is for everybody. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea,
Yeah. So
and that's okay. Like I don't need to be. But when you have that consult call, like, and you're talking with someone, like if you feel that sense of security and you're like, I feel like I can trust Harry with my day. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I know that he knows the vision that I want. I know that he wants the type of music. We're vibing here. Everything feels natural. It feels right. The boxes are being checked. I'm going to go with my gut. But if I'm talking to you and I feel like something doesn't feel right, or you're great at what you do, you just don't seem like a fit for me, that's okay too. But people just pick vendors because they check one or two boxes, and half the time it's because of price.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just because they're affordable doesn't mean they're a fit for you.
So there's a couple things here. One, people by people, and I can't stress that enough. And I
You
always
sell
say this to
yourself.
my staff all the time. And I push for FaceTimes because a lot of times I tell people if you take anything from this call, I want it to be vibes,
Mhm.
and that's massive. But it's one of them things where doing this entire process, if there's any gut feelings, you imagine what you're going to be like the day of your wedding. Because if you're having these thought processes during the process, how are you going to feel on your wedding?
Yeah.
And one of my biggest pitches to couples, and what I always talk about on the reviews, is peace of mind. The morning of your wedding is everything.
Yep.
And I'm so humble and thankful that a lot of times when people write us reviews, that phrase is mentioned and it means everything to me.
Yep.
Peace of mind, morning of your wedding is everything.
I tell my couples on the calls all the time, there's no price to peace of mind. And, to kind of go with like what people should look for and like things like people that have regrets for their wedding day, like not hiring a day of coordinator or a planner is a huge regret that I see. And that's because, and I was just talking to my mom about this the other day, we are your insurance policy. You can spend anywhere from 10 grand to 100 grand on a wedding, if not more.
Sure.
So whatever it is, you're still putting money behind it. It's still a really important day to you. So how important is it for you to ensure that it actually goes the way that you want it? On a piece of paper, everything can be checked. It could be great. It could be wonderful. Now it's time to execute. And a million and one things can go wrong.
Yeah.
We've had weddings where we had to evacuate because it was on fire. We've had security because of family members being warned that they couldn't come to the venue. We were nervous for those things. We've had events where the groom was like nowhere to be found. We've had events where, brides' dresses have ripped and, mom couldn't be in the same room as dad and all of these things. Who's taking care of it? You?
Right.
Like, or the people that you want to spend the day with the most. Hire us or someone to take care of that for you.
Yeah.
To ensure that like your money has been spent correctly. And respectfully, like when you're spending so much money at this point, what is the additional 3-4 grand to ensure that like every penny that
Well,
you already
when you're
paid.
spending 65,
Yeah.
right?
What's the difference at that point? Because you're making sure that like all my investment so far is actually secured. So, and it's just important to ensure that your day, like, you just want to enjoy it.
It's why I stress we have a DJ and an MC at every wedding, because the DJ never has to leave the DJ booth and the MC handles the noise of everything else, God forbid. And you got one shot. There's no room for hiccups or errors. And I just stress this to every single call I have.
I agree.
Yeah. Do we have any unique stories before we end? I'm always trying to think of what's something you never saw or something that's crazy. And to be honest with you, if you flip it on me right now, I've done hundreds of weddings. I don't even know where I would begin on what stand. Like, I've had someone have a heart attack on the dance floor, and they stopped. The ambulance came. They took them out on a stretcher, and then they tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Okay, go ahead." And I'm like, "What are you kidding?" And you would have thought it never happened. It was like a 300-person wedding. It's definitely BC, because we don't do 300s anymore as like we used to. But and it was like one of the best weddings ever. And someone literally had, they didn't die, thank God. But
Yeah.
like, it was just like, anything that's like wild or crazy that stands out.
I mean, we had a wedding similar to yours. Grandfather totally passed out. He had to leave on the ambulance. Like, we just kept, I was like, whatever you do, just keep the bride on the dance floor. She doesn't need to know. She'll find out tomorrow. If God forbid something happens, and obviously you involve her, but like, let her, she was having the time of her life.
Right, right. Don't ruin
Um,
her entire.
we had a wedding where, so I went to public school all my life. So you could just imagine how that goes going to public school in the city. Well, I
Where'd you go to
got
high school?
Gamp.
Okay.
It's not as exciting as you would think, but it's
Sure, go
fine.
ahead.
So I went to Gamp. So that was my story there. But anyway, we're at the Kimmel Center, and I just parked in the lot downstairs, and the fire alarm's going off. So to me, it's just like,
Great
it's another
stuff.
day in paradise.
Right.
And I'm going upstairs. I'm like, yep, it's a fire alarm. Everyone's freaking out. It's nothing. And then all of a sudden, like, there's actually a smell of gas. I'm like, oh my God, okay. Everyone's evacuating the building. I'm like, okay, this is not actually like a fire. It's a real fire.
Right, right.
We're outside and we're like panicking. We're like, what do we do? We pivoted. We took pictures, everything like that. We made it work. The fire trucks came. The couple took cute pictures with the fire truck. Um, that same wedding, like, we had to like help with the bridal party, like getting them from the hotel to the venue. So we were like basically their Ubers. And I had little Dickie in my car. I had no idea who he was till before the wedding. The bride was like, "We have a celebrity." I'm like, "Oh, who is it?" She's like, "Little Dickie." I'm like, "Who is he?"
Shout out to Little Dicky.
Shout out, Little Dickie. Thanks for riding in my car. And I was listening to his song and I was jamming to it
He's
while,
from here, I think.
yeah, he went
I'm
to,
pretty sure he's from here.
he went somewhere around here.
All right, but go
But
ahead.
I was jamming to his song while I was giving my son a bath. I'm like, okay, I like your music here. And then I know I see him on the billboards all the time. It's really funny. But, it was just, some weddings are crazy like that. You just kind of roll with it. The most recent thing that we've been having, it's been the tea of my group chat, and I'm sorry to call this bride out. We had an LGBT wedding. I think it was our first LGBT wedding, and now they're getting a divorce. And she's all on TikTok about basically how her wife was like cheating on her the whole time. And she was like, I didn't even know. And I'm like, oh my God, living for this tea right now. It is piping hot and I want more. So maybe I should go on TikTok. Um,
That's awesome.
I mean, but you see a bunch of different things. Like, I've had a guest come up to me and goes, "Are you the planner?" And I'm like, "Yeah, hey, what do you need?" And she says, "You have a safety pin? Like, I have a rip in my dress." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Like, let me see. And the whole zipper was broke. I was like, "We're gonna go to the bridal suite." Sewed her right into her dress. She went down, she enjoyed cocktail hour. I had a bride whose dress ripped like right before ceremony. She's like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" And I just got my LASIK touched up so I couldn't see. But I was like, "All right, we're gonna do this." I'm like, you go get her a drink, you put on her favorite song. I had to have someone thread the needle. I couldn't see. And I was like, all right, we're going to sewed her right into her dress. She walked down the aisle. It was great. I had a wedding where a mom told me that I was white trash. It was great. I was like, all right. So you see things
Roll with
all.
the
I had
punches.
another wedding where a mom totally just took out everything she was going through on me. I was like, you
Would you say that that's part of your job or no? And it's like, I'm semi serious and semi joking, but like,
semi-serious. I don't get paid enough to deal with people's therapy
that's
problems,
fair.
but it happens. It's par for the course. I mean, I believe that any big kind of celebration of any sort, whether it, or just big life event, for lack of a better word, deaths, birthdays, births, weddings, etc., bring out the best and the worst in people. And,
Sure.
you're dealing with a lot of feelings. You're in a family's always the biggest dynamic. Like, and that's where it comes down
And
to.
that's
So,
usually where the most drama is too, to be
yep.
honest.
And that's where it stems from. So, there's different dynamics that you're dealing with, and we're here to try to use, as long as I know in advance, like, mom and dad don't talk, keep them separated, or I have beef with this one or that one, we know we handle it. Like I said, only best friends you ever have to pay for. If your best friend knows that, like, my mom and dad cannot be together, then mom's over here and dad's over here. We plan accordingly, we
Sure.
keep it going. I mean, Is it my job to be your mom's therapist and be her punching bag? Absolutely not. But did I deal with it? Yes. And that bride still to this day does not know that her mom ripped into me in front of all her guests just because she was having a bad day.
Yeah, we've all been there. I've definitely had my fair share of dads or moms screaming in my face when I did absolutely nothing wrong, but they were either drunk, misinformed on something, and
Happy to
I had
refer
to
them
be
to
the
somebody.
right, exactly. Tree, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
I hope I keep telling everybody that I hope this just blows up and we're doing it. Maybe in a year we have you come on and talk about all the big things that Divas with the Details and the Mix are doing together. But love the feedback, love your time, and I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And for everyone that's not already, follow us on Instagram and look out for all the little hints that we'll be dropping of new things that we'll be releasing throughout the year.
love it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right.